Supreme Court, being the final arbiter, should be a lot more flexible and allow the interests of the Nigerian people see justice, on its journey. Let it not be evasive. For once, can't we just function as sane, intelligent, human beings? Must we do everything like it's some secret? It's not a secret. Whatever process that we're asking for, we're here because we want the good of the nation. So the Supreme Court ought, for me, from my opinion, ought to have been a lot more uh, flexible than what I'm seeing. But let's see how it goes. I hope that this whole processes will eventually give us justice. That's what's important. Let it give us justice. That's what the Nigerian people want.
So, so far, you have seen some prominent people, go into the courts. We've seen Ganduje, we've seen your good friend Nehu Ribadu.
Yes, the chief of staff to the president too. I
Yeah.
saw them. Of course,
And
they are
the
the boss. They are the big boys in town. So
So
they naturally, of course, have access.
they're all now inside the court.
Yeah.
What is your expectation coming out? What do you expect will happen in court today? I had a conversation with Vincent Otokubu, who is one of the legal representation of the Labour Party. He is of the opinion that Nigerians might even be surprised that today the Supreme Court may even deliver judgment. That is not only hearing, that they can hear and deliver judgment and say, their reasons will be given later. But having followed keenly as a keen observer from the appeal court to here, what do you, as a Nigerian, expect?
Um, Listen, the truth is that I'm a Nigerian who has lived almost all his life in Nigeria. So I'm not one of those Nigerians who eloped and eventually probably found their way back home. No, I am thoroughly based here. So I'll tell you that this is our story. The worst we have seen in Nigeria is that we had a president who the Supreme Court affirmed his presidency even when his identity and his school cert as he presented was questionable. And that president served for 8 years and nothing happened. So heaven didn't fall. You see, but this one is a peculiar case. We have a case here of integrity. We have a case of forgery here where the number one citizen of the nation, who is supposed to be the marketer in chief of the nation, is said to be a forger, is said to have questionable
Certificate.
educational certificate and all of that.
And so
For us, first of all, that is something that should concern all Nigerians, including their Lord Justices, because they are Nigerians first before being judges of the Supreme Court. So that is the case here. But are we going to be surprised if the worst happens? Like you said, oh, if for instance they now wake up here and give us judgment and say, oh, they will now, revert to us later and all that. Well, it won't be a surprise. We have seen the worst. However, I haven't lost hope in Nigeria. We just need to uphold this value that should be resident in our heart, that this is our land. However it be in our land, we can fix it. If we are facing a situation today where we are having a forger as president, one day the constitution also provides for when his tenure will elapse. So we shouldn't give up on our nation because of a few bad eggs, a few bad criminals that have captured power. That's not what should happen to us. But however, I'm not expecting a miracle from the Supreme Court. I'm not, sincerely. I just want to hear them say that the system of election in Nigeria henceforth should be grab it and run with it. And then you can be anything. And then they should stop harassing Yahoo Yahoo. If they uphold this, then the Yahoo Yahoo boys should be allowed to function. It's as simple as that. If we don't do that, then there's no justice in the land, and I will continue to have chaos. Nigeria is a great nation, and the black community on earth will not be respected until the black man, realizes that this is the highest gathering of black people on earth. If Nigeria does not rise, Africa will not get up. And if Africa doesn't get up, the black man will not be respected. So they are not justices owe themselves a duty to make a name for themselves, save the nation, and save the judiciary. The judiciary is under trial. That's the truth. Atiku has no case here. Peter Obi has no case here. Tinubu has no case here. The judiciary has a case. They have to tell the Nigerian people and the world that this system, as INEC gives us whenever they want to have election, is not what should be upheld. That the system we should go with is grab it and run with it, and then we'll take to chaos. and the land will now become a crime scene. That's what it will be.
That's an awful lot you've just said within this short period of time. Namdi Dixon Yorubu, it's a pleasure having you here. Let's watch and see how things will unfold. We'll probably have to speak to you more as events unfold. Thank you very much for speaking to us and to our live audience here on Ginger Media TV. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I like it.
Genje,
Man,
come on.
you know the pick call now.
No, last time well, that's other cake or I got to just call. So that talk about that putting in with one update. That is the date of the call. So the update for that date came out. Yeah, they did their list. And I didn't know
I didn't even know they were going to do a list.
Hi there.
they cut administration told them that
We need the opinion of the younger ones, the violent spacers.
the violence spacers.
You want to talk?
You want to do an interview?
We're live, so you can drop your bag here.
You know why these guys are, they are arrogantly gaslighting people because the country did not erupt into violence. That criminality
Okay,
is
we go.
suppressing the
No,
transition.
just go.
In other
Hold on.
countries, the people will not take it. And they have mind to be saying this. People didn't take it.
I'm telling you.
You hold on to transmission. Then you say, oh,
That's good. That's good.
and people are saying, even though they were using it.
So may we know you, brother?
My name is UC Maxwell.
UC Maxwell. For those of you who do not know him, is one of those violent spacers on the Twitter street, now X. UC Maxwell, you're welcome to Ginger Media.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell us the minds of young Nigerians that are on Twitter spaces? You know, the ones that their voices are not being heard, but here at the Supreme Court of Nigeria, you represent them, and can you kindly speak their mind?
Okay. Well, I believe that I will not just be speaking the minds of those who are on Twitter Spaces alone. I'll be speaking the mind of a lot of young Nigerians out there, both the ones that do not have money anymore to afford data to even come on Twitter Spaces. You see, there is a problem within the Nigerian political space, within the Nigerian judicial space, and the Nigerian leadership space, because these three spaces have an issue currently that a person whom a majority of people did not vote for have been selected and put in the place of position. Not only that, the people did not vote for this person has been, caught in the web of several criminalities, corruption, and disqualifications under the provisions of the law. So the minds of youths around the world, around Nigeria, is just one and the same, that we do not want a person who has been disqualified by the provisions of the law to hold political office. We don't want people who, are certificate forgers. Of course, evidences show, documents show that the certificates that Bola Tinubu presented to INEC was forged when you go through the Chicago State University deposition, which article got from America, and several other documents. So it's just one statement. We don't want a certificate forger. We don't want a person with so much baggage having forfeited or having been fined $460,000 as fine for narcotic trafficking and money laundering. So that's what it is, and it's unfortunate that a lot of these youths cannot even have their voices heard anymore, because when they have the opportunity to even speak up, they are being clamped down on by security operatives, the police, the DSS, the military, treated in several ways that are unconstitutional and violate their fundamental rights.
So, UC Maxwell, if by any chance the Supreme Court upholds the decision made by the appeal court, as a young Nigerian, understanding what the younger Nigerians think, what do you think will be the next step for them to take?
Well, first it was preposterous for the Court of Appeal to have even issued that judgment in the first place. I called the judgment a deliberate, careless, and perverse judgment. That is the term I call it, because the judgment does not even fall within the ambit of the law. The law is very clear. Section 137 sub 1 paragraph J, Section 137 sub 1 paragraph D, and several other provisions. And the fact that INEC, of course, failed to even stick to their rules of engagement. So it was already a sorry state for Nigeria that the Court of Appeal upheld that election. And then we are here waiting for the Supreme Court judgment. But I want to say categorically and unequivocally that if the Supreme Court goes into the business of the day and affirms that judgment, it will be an abuse on democracy, because the very fundamentals of a democratic society is that the people have the power to decide who should rule them. The election, the result that was announced by that election, is not the will of the people. So you are defeating the very fundamentals of democracy if the Supreme Court upholds, that election. And I want to say that going forward, the youth would have been given a legal privilege or a legal backing to go into the business of forgery, submit forged documents, and vie for political offices. We have people who are undergoing several criminal sentences before the court, who are in prison and the rest. It means that when they come out someday, they would have the leverage to come and compete with people who have, held themselves to high esteem in character and in conscience, to lead the country Nigeria. So if the Supreme Court upholds that judgment, they're only inviting anarchy to Nigeria.
Now, many also have argued, like you slightly pointed out now, that in the case of Mesoma, who is also a youth, that at some point she was punished swiftly. But in this case, it appears that the punishment as to regards to certificate forgery is left for only the court to do. But you recall that in the case of Evans and Werem, the former Senate president, his own action was swift and he didn't go to court, or he was not prosecuted in court. The Senate then did justice. So what do you think is preventing this case from proceeding the way many Nigerians would think it should?
First, it is rather unfortunate that the person in question, Bola Tinubu, has not resigned from office. You could remember in 1999 the case of Salisu Buhari, where he was found to have, falsified documents or to have forged documents. He simply resigned, and he faced the wrath of the law. It's unfortunate that we now have different strokes for different folk when it comes to the law, that you need to treat Mesoma differently than you would treat Bola Tinubu. For a person like Mesoma, the National Assembly was very swift to set up a panel or a committee. She was immediately, the Anambra State government did a lot of things to see that that case was dispensed with. And you would agree with me that without going to court, the entirety or the generality of people called Mesoma a forger of documents without a court pronouncement. So I even feel worried that people are afraid to call this even to call it a case of forgery. If you can call Mesoma's own, a forged case, why can't you call Bola Tinubu? So it's unfortunate that we now have different measures in Nigeria. Bola Tinubu is not different from every other well-meaning Nigerian out there. We all share the same rights. In fact, the immunity which he may enjoy today is not on him, but on the office of presidency. So even the day he steps out of that place, the immunity goes up. So there's no special status that Bola Tinubu, enjoys. Whatever has been used, whatever is the measure of justice that has been used for every other case, Evans Eweren, Mesoma, Salisu Buhari, the former or the man who was about to be sworn in as deputy governor of Bayelsa State, and several others. Even you remember the case of Uche Wonsu in 2019, which is even still before the Supreme Court today. So these are the issues, and Bola Tinubu must be treated in the same manner like all these other people.
Thank you very much. We will keep speaking to many of you as this case progresses. Thank you very much once more, Yusuf, as well.
Thank you.
Megidani,
Yeah, how far?
I do.
How you doing now?
I do.
Well done.
So, oh, okay.